Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Military Mutterings, where I, Jack Fletcher, and my good friend
Me, Kevin Jansen.
shall be discussing the ships involved with the hunt for the Bismarck.
And there were many of them.
Yes, majority of them were British.
Yeah, of course.
One of them was Polish.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Everybody took part, and by everybody, we mean not as many people as you'd have thought.
And how many does Germany get? 2.
Do take it or leave it. Right, so
Let's go right into the first one. HMS Prince of Wales. So, HMS Prince of Wales was a King George V class battleship. And wasn't it at this time like your most advanced battleship?
I don't think it was our most advanced battleship. I think that would be the,
It's probably the Nelson class, actually, come to think of it.
yeah, but the very, very, very modern ships for their time.
Yeah. Well, if we look at this thing firepower-wise, it actually... I'd almost argue that it kind of beats Bismarck. Because it's got 10 14-inch guns, 360mm guns, and Bismarck has 8 380mm guns. And what's that? Is that,
Nothing, don't worry.
I'll just restart at the guns, I think.
Okay, that's fine, Kevin. Oh,
I think...
just Tinder, don't worry about it.
Oh, what?
Don't worry. Bloody Nora. Yes, great, we're recording. And have been for 5 minutes. Sorry about that, Kevin.
I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Yes.
My mother can walk in at any time too. She's about to go home.
Okay, so where were we?
I was going to talk about the firepower Prince of Wales.
Yes, continue about the firepower.
Alright, I think firepower-wise, Prince of Wales is actually... Well, it might actually beat Bismarck. It's got 10 14-inch guns, so that's 360mm. And Bismarck has 8 380mm. And what's that? Is that 15-inch?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
those are the 15-inch guns. It also depends on the reload rate as well, because if you can outfire your enemy ship with pure reload rate alone, then
yeah. And doesn't the King George V class, like we can see on the photo right now, it's got a quad turret at the front, and then a double turret
yes.
super firing. And does it have another quad at the rear? Or does it have 2 doubles at the rear? I forgot.
I believe that it has 2 doubles at the rear. Let me just check. Wait.
Oh wait, no, I see it right here. It's got 1 quad forward and 1 quad aft. So that twin turret is only at the front and super firing over the forward quad one.
Yes. Yes, that is indeed correct.
Yeah. But did the Prince of Wales actually slug it out with the Bismarck? I don't really think they had a proper encounter. It's not like Hood, where they were seriously battling each other.
From what I can remember, HMS, I believe it engaged Prince Eugen rather than Bismarck, from what I can remember.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll just move on to the next ship. Like, we're not going to talk about too much on this, otherwise the video will be way too long.
No, it did engage Bismarck. It did score a couple of hits, and one of which caused a hole to blow in the battle, which caused Bismarck to lose 1,000 tons of oil.
Oh, there you have it. So Prince of Wales did actually fight Bismarck. Alright, next one, Rodney. I'm gonna give this one to you, actually.
Yes, HMS Rodney is probably one of the most, if not the most, advanced battleship on this list, despite being rather old. HMS Rodney did serve the Royal Navy from, I suppose you could say, from 1927 up until from 1928 until 1946. It was a Nelson-class battleship, and only two of these were built, mind you. And the Rodney was armed with three triple turrets, each housing 16-inch guns. These were all at the front of the ships on the bow. You had a super firing pair, and then you had one afterwards. So it's not like the Japanese Mogami cruisers. It's more, or even the Tornei, actually.
It's
It's
actually more
more.
like the Tornei, where everything is
Well,
on the front.
it is more like the Tornei where everything's on the front, but the layout of the guns is different. Rather than having one turret and then a raised turret for super firing, and then two afterwards, you had one turret, one for super firing, and then one afterwards.
It's like the Americans have on their Brooklyn class.
Yes,
On the
more like
front,
it, Brooklyn.
that is, yeah.
Yes. So, the HMS Nelson was it was made due to the 1922 Washington Naval Treaty, as it was a smaller version of the G3 battlecruiser. And, well, it did indeed fight against the Bismarck. From what I can recall, it either fought against the Bismarck or was involved in the hunting of Bismarck.
Yeah, I believe this was involved in the hunt. If I remember correctly, this is going completely off of my memory though, but I think the Bismarck actually turned around to protect the Prince Eugen, so Prince Eugen could get away. And I think in that move where Bismarck turned around, it did engage Rodney and another battleship. I do not think it was... well, maybe it was King George V actually. I believe there were two battleships involved in going after Bismarck after it had destroyed Hood.
Yes, Rodney and King George V did indeed engage the Bismarck. In fact, something I've just realized in the video is that we have missed out a singular ship.
Oh no.
Which we will get to. Oh, it was HMS Dorsetshire, which is a county class. So when we get to the county class section, just remember HMS Dorsetshire was there. But yes, so that is HMS Rodney.
And now, King George V, the one we just talked about. So here we have another King George V class, and this is the leader of the class actually, it carries the name. So this one, together with Rodney, actually went after Bismarck. So this is post-Hood blowing up, Britain being very annoyed and just sending out a whole force after it.
We were rather miffed and incredibly displeased.
Rightfully so. You lost your big old flagship.
Hate it when we lose our flagship. It's an inconvenience.
But yeah, King George V. Again, it's just King George V class, same as the one I just talked about. I don't really know.
The this ship in particular, King George V, combined with Rodney, as say, did manage to do some serious damage to Bismarck.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful combination actually. A King George V class with the 14-inch guns, and then a Nelson class with the, what was it again, 16-inch guns?
Yes.
Like that's just a perfect combination of small caliber in a lot of volume and large caliber. Just to...
something. Sorry to interrupt, but that is
problem.
very interesting. Is that on the King George V class in 1945, they had some secondary guns as well. In fact, even before 1945, I believe, but particularly 1945, what I'm looking at. And these guns were the same guns, the same 5.25-inch guns as featured on the Dido class.
Yeah, I believe they were the one of the heaviest dual-purpose secondary guns used during World War II.
They're 133 millimeter.
Yeah, if you look at the photo, you can see it on the right. You see two little turrets super firing over each other.
Indeed.
But
And of
these were
course,
only
on the
installed
left.
late war, right? I do not
Yes,
believe
I
it
believe
had.
these were a late war refit.
Yeah, so during the Hunt of the Bismarck, King George V did not have these. It probably
Hold on a
had.
moment. Actually, let me just check that. Be sure.
It probably had 152s, just like the Nelson class had around that time.
I don't know. From what I'm seeing, from what I'm looking at, the 1945 refit was just removal of two 20mm Orlikans and the addition of two Bofors.
Oh, maybe I was. I thought the 133mm guns were late war era, but actually, now come to think of it, probably not then.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And if you're wondering why this video is why we seem to be very confused, you will find out in the next video.
We're just
Yes.
having a bit of a muttering at the moment.
Yes. Right. So moving on.
Ooh. Yeah, this one's all you.
The
Your
pride of
favorite
the
British
Royal
thing.
Navy. Anger.
Great
True,
anger.
unbridled rage even for this. HMS Hood was a Admiral class battlecruiser and was the pride of the Royal Navy. I don't know why it was the pride of the Royal Navy, to be completely honest. I'd rather have a far more powerful ship. But it had yes, it was armed with 8 15-inch guns, so it was definitely a equal in terms of firepower to Bismarck. However, in terms of armor, we don't talk about that. The way it is, the way it's said is that the after the how do I put this?
You want to start over?
No, I don't want to start over because I'm just trying to correctly put that it was obliterated.
I think we can nail it down as one of the luckiest or unlucky, depending on which side you're on, shots that ever happened in naval history.
Yes, it was from 18,210 yards, and it was Bismarck's fifth salvo, and it detonated the ammunition magazine, which caused the ship to basically split apart.
I think what happened is that the Bismarck shell penetrated just on a weird angle on one of the forward turrets, or the rear turrets, I forgot which turret it was. But because of that, it managed to penetrate through the weaker side of that turret's armor and go straight down the elevator, the ammunition elevators, directly into the magazine, and then blow up.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
just
that caused
ridiculous.
the battle cruiser ripped apart.
Yeah.
It was such an awful ordeal. Prince of Wales, who was there, disengaged, and rightfully so, considering the main ship had been obliterated. And with that, we're going to go on to our next ship.
We're not going to talk about Hood anymore, it's too sad.
No, I'm becoming emotional just thinking about it.
Alright, so what's this? HMS Ramillies? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, HMS Ramillies. It didn't actually fight.
No, but it did join for the search.
Indeed, it was, I believe, one of the ships involved with the. Wasn't even involved with H-Force. It was like.
I think this was just one of the ships scrapped
so
together because
Yes,
of Hood
it-
sinking. They just wanted anybody there to
Yes,
start
it-
looking for Bismarck.
It just so happened to be there. HMS Ramillies being a Revenge class super dreadnought. This is a dreadnought, keep in mind, and was only armed with 8 15-inch guns as well as some smaller
Very
armaments.
similar to Hood, actually. Didn't Hood have the same 15-inch guns?
Yes, but the thing is, pretty different 15-inch guns, but what you must remember is that this is a super dreadnought. Hood was a battle cruiser.
Yeah.
These are ships that shouldn't really be going against a modern battleship.
Yeah, but still, I just like the desperation that the British
Oh
Navy
yes,
had. It's
to
just
hunt
like,
down a singular battleship.
we gotta get him. Anybody who's there, if you had a rowboat with a 50 cal, they wanted you to join the search.
Yes. However, she did take part in escort duties in 1941, and she prevented two Scharnhorst class. I wouldn't even call them battleships. I'd
I
preferably
call them battle cruisers.
they are more battle cruisers. I mean, if your battleship's got 11-inch guns, then it's
Or
probably
actually,
either a dreadnought. Sorry, it's either a battle cruiser or it's a pre-dreadnought battleship or a very early dreadnought. Looking
I
at you,
think the
Westfalen.
American term's better, super cruisers.
Yeah, super
Because I
cruisers.
think battle cruisers is mostly looked at as older ships, like older
Well,
that were at the time laid down as battleships or dreadnoughts, but have been configured to be more suited for modern times, and then they were
I
called battle
still,
cruisers.
yeah, so I still prefer battle cruiser to super cruiser because it just sounds better.
That
Like,
is
oh,
true.
it's a super cruiser. No, it's a battle cruiser. It's a cruiser very much
it's
capable of a lot of battle.
it's ready for battle.
Yes, as we continue to waste more time, we should go on to our next ship.
A carrier,
Ooh,
Ark Royal.
ooh, beautiful.
We're not when we say beauty, we're not talking about the carrier. We're talking about the swordfish, of course.
Of course, yes, we would never commit such heresy. Swordfish is the finest aircraft to ever exist, maybe ever. Don't even ask.
Let's also talk about what the swordfishes did to Bismarck in this
Yes,
category.
this
But
is
first,
amazing.
let's first talk about Ark Royal, though. So, do you know a thing or two about Ark Royal? She's just
I
a singular
do.
ship, right? She's not a class.
Uh, she was no, she was not a class. She was, I do believe, a singular ship, as you said. Um, and funny enough, her namesake was the HMS Ark Royal Galleon from 1587. Now, this ship was able to carry from 1930 from 1940 to 41, which is what we're going to be really looking at here. It could carry 30 fairy swordfish and 12 blackburn skewers, as well as 12 fairy fulmars. However, in 1941, it could also it could carry 36 fairy swordfish and 18 fairy fulmars, because I believe the skewers would probably be retired at that point. Probably,
Yeah,
maybe.
pretty
It also
sure.
had a pair of catapults, and it had 8 110mm guns, the 4.5-inch guns, 4 pom-poms, and 8 quad 12.7mm anti-aircraft mounts. So it was okay in terms of its protection. However, I wouldn't say it was superb. However, considering this ship was from 1938, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Now,
So, Kevin,
what did the
you
swordfishes
discussed
do?
the swordfishes. Now, this is spectacular. The swordfish aircraft, they were launched because this ship also took part in the Hunt for the Graf Bay, but we'll talk about that another time. But the swordfish aircraft, they were able to cripple the Bismarck by jamming its rudder, causing it to
Also,
go in circles.
something to add on top of this: the swordfish was so how do I say this? Old.
So,
It was so slow and so old, and it was built in this very light configuration. The German guns had, especially the large caliber German secondary AA guns, had a lot of trouble even tracking the swordfishes because they were not made for targets that slow. And
yes,
the 20 mils, when they got in range, the 20 mils just shot right through them.
because it's a string bag,
Yeah, it's
canvas
just a
and
string bag.
string.
So that's why the swordfishes, while you would say, man, these would never get close to a Bismarck, but no, they absolutely got close, and then they dropped
Yes,
their torps.
the terrors of Taranto.
Yeah, but like as soon as the rudder was jammed, the Bismarck's fate was completely sealed.
Yes, it was jammed at a 15. It was jammed at 15 degrees.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not talking temperature. I'm talking it was. Let me just check. 15 degree port.
Would have been interesting if the rudder was actually jammed in a normal straight position. Then maybe the Bismarck could have just carried on going straight in whatever direction it was going.
Yes. Unfortunately for this ship, on 13th of November 1941, German U-81, a Type 7C U-boat, sank her.
That is quite sad.
This did launch a lot of inquiries. Even to this day, there were a lot of inquiries. And the wreck was only discovered in 2002.
Well, I'm going to move on. Because we're talking a lot about this sort of stuff again. So, HMS Victorious. Quick disclaimer, the photo you see before you is a post-war refit. Because yes, those are what are they, scimitars? I do not believe...
Yes, those are
I do not believe that's...
those are scimitars, and I'm
pretty sure a scimitar did not engage the Bismarck, so yeah.
Listen, if a swordfish can wants to say a scimitar can't fly through time.
Well, the Bismarck couldn't shoot down a swordfish, and it probably couldn't shoot down a scimitar either, so...
It could if it tried hard enough. You just got to believe, as Parappa the Rapper would say.
Yeah, this is true. But Victorious Carrier Force did not actually engage Bismarck, but this is another one of those ships that was involved in tracking the Bismarck, right? Yeah, just trying to hunt it down.
Yes, actually, no, it did. It did engage. Its swordfish aircraft engaged.
Oh, yeah, okay.
9 swordfish and 2 Fulmars.
Yeah, but I think most of the credit just goes to Ark Royal.
Yes, Ark Royal got that. Yes, funny enough, the ferry Fulmars had to withdraw before they got to the Bismarck because of fuel shortage.
Yeah, that is quite a shame. Like that too. I think Ark Royal was much closer to Bismarck.
Sorry, wait, no, sorry, tell a lie. They did engage, but they ran out of fuel on the return journey and had to ditch in the sea because the homing beacon had bugged itself up.
That'll be quite annoying. Like,
very irritating. I've just engaged a battleship. Oh.
Oh crap! I forgot to look at the fuel gauge.
Yes.
Oh well.
Right.
Let's move on. Destroyers. Oops, sorry.
These are all tribal class.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, all 4 of these are tribal class. Cossack, Sikh, Maori, and Zulu. I pronounced one of those wrong. Probably.
Well, you'll probably pronounce them better than I do. These are English names.
I wouldn't. Okay. So yes, these ships.
They pretty much
harassed
the Bismarck. Yeah.
They chased and they harassed. No hits were scored on the Bismarck from the torpedo attacks, but it did keep the Bismarck's gunners from getting any sleep.
That must be so annoying. Like one destroyer leaves and another one comes back. You just don't get a break. And yeah. Like I think most video games depict destroyers as absolutely not useful against anything bigger than a destroyer, but real life destroyers can be such a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And the torpedoes can just be devastating.
Funny enough, HMS Sikh claimed a torpedo hit, but there was no torpedo hit.
Oh, that's quite a shame.
So sad.
Yeah. But actually, Maori, if I'm pronouncing that right? I hope so. It says here that Maori did actually rescue some survivors from the Bismarck when the Bismarck had sunk. So that is quite nice, actually.
Yes, always pleasant.
It's not like they left those people there for dead.
Yes, and HMS Zulu was also there.
Yeah, it just existed.
it was there. Many ships were there.
Right now we're going to something interesting. The Poles. Even the Polish were involved.
Yes.
So I think the Polish, because Poland was one of the first countries to get invaded, right, during the war. Like the war started over that. A
Now,
lot
funnily
of Polish
yes.
resistance was working together with Britain, and that is why they operated quite a lot of British destroyers. But yeah, well, what did you want to say?
This ship goes under three names. Whilst it was under construction, it was known as HMS Nerissa. Then it was Kiarun. I've said that wrong, I know it. And then after it came back into British service in 1946, it became HMS Noble. This is an N-class destroyer, so it's not a tribal; it's an N-class. It is. I would probably argue objectively worse than a tribal.
It's smaller, isn't it?
Yes. Now, keep in mind, tribals, they had a 1940 and a 41 refit. Well, I wouldn't even call it a 1940 refit, but from 1940 or 41 onwards, because they used to have four of their, they used to have eight guns, but two of them were removed in 1940 or 41, I forget. So, this ship, he shadowed the Bismarck, and did it did charge at the Bismarck as well.
I think the Polish actually had a lot of courage when it came to fighting the Germans, because they took over their entire country.
Yes, funny enough, it exchanged fire with Bismarck for an hour, neither side scoring any hits. Although after its third salvo, Bismarck, one of Bismarck's rounds missed by only 20 yards, which is 18 meters. So the ship decided to away.
Here's one funny thing. This story might not be completely accurate, though. It could just be something people made up, but it's funny nonetheless. The Poirot, Poirot, I'm just gonna say Poirot. The story goes that the Poirot was constantly signaling, "I am a Pole," to the Bismarck. And
yes,
this lets me know of another story of a different Polish destroyer that was engaging I think it was a Admiral Hipper class cruiser. And the whole time they were engaging it, and they were very close range, the whole deck crews were just singing the Polish anthem. And I must say, it is just really cool. Like, they really wanted revenge for their country, and they wanted to let the Germans know that the Polish were still fighting back.
Yes. Although I must say, what strikes me as something that could have been rather hilarious is if they were sending all this transmission and no one was reading the transmission. Because everyone was probably panicking, like, "Oh bugger, we're engaged by several ships at this point. We are crippled. We're going in a circle. We're leaking oil. Help!"
Help. But yeah, I'm gonna move on now. I'm gonna let you pronounce his name.
HMS Mashona. Unfortunately for this ship, although it was escorting HMS Rodney, and it was sunk. So it took part by escorting a battleship. This is also, by the way, a tribal class. Because it didn't engage Bismarck. In fact, it didn't even find it because it was forced to abandon the search for lack of fuel, and then it was sunk by Luftwaffe bombers.
Quite sad. It gets a participation trophy.
Yes.
Alright, so...
Aha! Now, remember, there was also HMS...
Oh yeah, there's the one where we missed the ship, so...
yes. HMS Dorchestershire, or something like that?
Well, for the time being, so we've got HMS Sheffield, which is a town class light cruiser. Then we've got HMS Suffolk, which is a county class heavy cruiser, and then we got Norfolk, which is also a county class heavy cruiser. Now, isn't the town class the same as Belfast? the ship which has become quite
It was
iconic over the
HMS.
time.
Sorry, it was HMS Dorsetshire.
Which was a county or a town
Yes,
class?
it was a county class.
Right, so we've got one
Uh,
light cruiser, a town class.
And 3 heavies.
Yeah, of the county class.
Yes, of the county class. Now, funny enough, HMS Sheffield as a town class was also part of the Southampton subclass.
Yeah, I think that light cruiser has got a lot of subclass things going on.
Yes, but they. Let me just find. There we go.
But yeah,
It
so
was HMS Sheffield was the first vessel in the Royal Navy to be equipped with a prototype radar system. And it narrowly escaped a friendly fire torpedo attack from Mark Royal's Fairy Swordfish.
Huh. Well, I'm looking at HMS Suffolk here, and Suffolk was also involved in the Battle of the Denmark Strait, so like the battle that took place before Bismarck engaged Hood.
Yep.
And Suffolk actually engaged the Bismarck quite a lot. And it engaged it twice actually during the battle, and after that it was able to track the Bismarck and keep
With
contact
that
long
radar.
enough. Yeah, it kept contact long enough for other units, other ships of the British Navy, to then track or engage the Bismarck as well. So I think without Suffolk, the battle might have actually gone quite a bit different.
Mm-hmm. HMS Norfolk also took part. It joined Suffolk in railing Bismarck, and later fired upon it.
I think these light and heavy cruisers, they didn't really do that much directly against the ships, but they were very important on tracking the ships. Sorry. And maybe just like the destroyers, just annoying them, keeping the gunners busy.
Yes.
Right, then we got Prince Eugen.
Yes, Prince Eugen. This is an Admiral Hipper class.
And we've talked about the Admiral Hipper class before. So.
Yes, took part in the Battle of the Denmark Strait. However, was able to retreat after Bismarck gave the hand in doing so.
Yeah, so Bismarck and Prince Eugen were together during the Battle of the Bismarck Strait. Battle of the Denmark Strait. And then, I think, then Bismarck proceeded to blow up the Hood. And then all things started to go south, and then Bismarck distracted the other enemy battleships, I believe, and Prince Eugen actually managed to get away.
Yes, Prince Eugen was captured after the war and was used as a trophy ship and was sunk by nuclear weapons in Bikini Atoll.
It is impressive that Prince Eugen managed to survive the entire war, because I believe all the other Admiral Hipper classes were sunk or
damaged.
Yeah.
Or not even finished.
Yeah, in case of the one sent to Russia.
And also that one that Germany tried to send into an aircraft.
Oh yeah, Lützow or something. One of those two.
Yes.
Right, and then the last one.
Bismarck.
Yeah, so Bismarck. Do we even have to introduce this one? I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Bismarck.
All we need to know is that it's one of the 2 Bismarck-class battleships. It was sunk.
I think one thing that 2 Bismarck-class battleships have in common is that they were a pain in the ass for the British. Because we've got Bismarck, which, well, yeah, you probably know what Bismarck did by now. And then we've got Tirpitz, which just had to be constantly bombed by tall boys just to make sure she didn't go away.
Yes, and so Bismarck took part in the Battle of the Denmark Strait, sunk the battlecruiser HMS Hood, and was later hunted down by H-Force and sunk.
What I love about Bismarck is the design of the ship. The ship is so chunky. If you have a full front view of the Bismarck, it is extremely wide. Yes, it's only this wide around the middle, but it just makes the ship look so good.
And one thing to remember as well is that the Bismarck was destroyed by a combination of being shelled, being hit by torpedoes, and also scuttling.
Yeah. The Bismarck was still very much floating around. Well, it was listing, I believe, but
Listing, yes,
if
would have
if
gone
they
up there
hadn't
anyway.
scuttled it, maybe the
It still would
Allies.
have.
Even then, if they hadn't scuttled it, do you think the Allies would have done something with Bismarck? Or would then the Allies have just torpedoed it
Probably not.
anyways?
They probably just would have torpedoed it.
Yeah. I'm glad that the when the Bismarck sunk, she first so she went underwater and she flipped upside down. This made all her turrets fall out of the baskets. But then just before she hit the bottom of the ocean there, she flipped upright again. So the Bismarck is laying on the ocean bed, completely upright. It's actually really cool.
Yes,
And then its
and
primary turrets is like scattered around because they fell out.
yes, maybe just a theory of mine. Maybe the Germans scuttled it because they didn't want HMS Jarvis to get another torpedo kill. Good old HMS Jarvis wasn't there, but it did torpedo Zara and Polar, both of which were Zara-class heavy cruisers of the Italian Navy, in the same night. They were crippled, yes, but it still got them, and it had indeed had 15 wartime commemorations.
Remember, always watch out for Jarvis. It is always
Yes.
there.
Remember, the chances of you being torpedoed by HMS Jarvis are low, but never zero. And with that,
I think we're gonna wrap up this extra long video.
yes, so do you have any closing notes?
Yeah, sorry that this video took so long. All will be explained Monday. Because then another video is being uploaded. So stay tuned for that video. And
Yes.
yeah, hope you enjoyed this little muttering, rambling about the ships
Yes,
that were involved
very
in the
long,
Bismarck
but
thing.
very
Yeah.
excellent. So, on those final notes, we shall see you all next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.